morning, and thank you for joining me for another sprinkler talk. Today is going to be a little bit different to normal because I'm going to show you some of my AutoCAD skills, or lack of skills if you like. I think it very much depends on if you're used to using it. If you're used to using AutoCAD, you'll probably find my skills a little bit ropey, but yeah, if you've not seen it before, then I'm sure you won't notice a difference. So yeah, this is sprinkler talk number 31. We're going to be looking at the basics of sprinkler head layout, part 2. So as a kind of starting point, reminder, so in part 1, which was actually episode number 14 of Sprinkler Talk, we looked at a really easy example of laying out sprinkler heads. Now, this was in a warehouse, so it's a nice large area. We didn't consider anything else in there, so we didn't consider where the beams go and other equipment and lighting and anything like that. We just said, look, we've got completely free reign here. We're going to put our sprinkler heads wherever we like, and so we worked out, this kind of method of looking at the maximum distances, dividing it by the space available, and then we can put our sprinkler heads in nice, neat rows to fill up the space. And we got a result here of spacing them at 11.7 meters squared, which is pretty good because the limit was 12 meters squared for an ordinary hazard. So that was a very efficient and neat result that we got there. Today I'm going to be looking at residential spacing. So we've looked at this spacing again. This was taken from Sprinkler Talk 14. Well, I told you that under 9251 we have a maximum area per sprinkler of 25 square meters, so much larger than ordinary hazard, based on statistics, based on fire tests carried out. There's going to be less expected fire load in the average house than there is at the average warehouse or factory. Maximum distance between sprinkler heads is 5.5, but the maximum distance to the wall is 2.25. So yeah, we've got to kind of bear that in mind. Minimum distance between sprinkler heads is 2.4. So the heads aren't allowed to be any closer than 2.4. They're not allowed to be any further apart than 5.5. The asterisks there are just to kind of point out that you do need to check the exact sprinkler head that you are using, because those figures may overrule what it says in the standard. So if the sprinkler head itself says that the maximum distance between sprinkler heads is 5 meters, then obviously go with that. Under 16925, the other residential standard, there aren't so many figures kind of listed in the standard, which I think it seems to be where we're kind of headed really. So basically, yeah, you just look at the approval of the sprinkler head, and that will tell you that information. So yeah, for simplicity, we're going to be looking at 9251 today to look at those examples. Some more information that is useful. This is taken from Sprinkler Talk 26, where we looked at the extent of sprinkler protection. So these are areas where you need to put sprinkler protection, or in fact, actually it's the opposite, isn't it? It's areas where you're allowed to not sprinkler protect. So we have a list of them here, and again, just a reminder, so that's small bathrooms, small cupboards, crawl spaces, ceiling voids, external balconies, etc., etc. 1695 has a similar list of areas which you don't have to sprinkler protect. There is a little bit more detail in here, but yeah, the result is largely the same. Okay, let's talk about reflected ceiling plans. So a reflected ceiling plan is a drawing that shows the items which are located on the ceiling of a room or space. It is referred to as a reflected ceiling plan since it is drawn to display a view of the ceiling as if it was reflected onto a mirror on the floor. That sounds quite complicated, but in actual fact, it is very useful, very simple, easy way of understanding kind of what you're showing on the screen. So you're imagining that you're standing on the roof, if you like. You're looking down onto a mirror, which is then reflecting up onto the ceiling. So you're drawing it in the right way up, but you're drawing what is the ceiling going to look like. If you're still not quite sure what I mean, then it'll become clear when I show you a reflected ceiling plan, because that is what we're going to be working on for our sprinkler layouts. Different symbols are used for sprinkler heads in different drawings. Different companies are going to use different symbols. So on a drawing, there should always be a key which will show you what those symbols mean. I've taken these two examples from sort of a previous existence where I was actually doing a little bit of a sprinkler design and laying out the sprinkler heads. So we have like a donut shape, sort of circle, which is a sprinkler head facing up. So we'll be using that, say, for where you have upright sprinkler heads. Where the sprinkler head is facing down, you have a circle with a dot in the middle. Those are the symbols that I'm used to using, but as I say, different ones will, different companies and etc. will use different ones. Okay, so let's switch now over to AutoCAD. So you should be able to see that on the screen there. So here I've got a, I'm not quite sure what it is, to be honest. It's kind of like a care home, I suppose. There are some care beds here, but there are some general apartments. So I guess it's one of these apartments for older living or something like that. They use different kind of terms now, but we've got activity rooms and a cinema. I say we've got some kind of care facilities. We've got some apartments here, and we've got some communal lounge and living areas in the middle as well. So let's have a look at this apartment over here on the left-hand side. So we've got a corridor or lobby area. We've got some kind of storage area. We've got a small bedroom. We've got a master bedroom with an ensuite bathroom. We've got a family bathroom, if you like, and another bathroom. And then we have a kitchen, dining and living area all combined over here. So as you can see, this one's nice and easy because, again, we've got no other services in the way. We haven't got lighting. We haven't got the heating. Don't have to worry about the plumbing, etc. So we've got no other information to go on. So it's a bit like the sprinklers are going in first. I think every service wants to get in there first because it makes their life easy. They can put their pipes and whatever exactly where they like. So yeah, we're going to go with this. But obviously there is coordination that's required in the future. So if I submit this drawing, it may well come back to me at some point and say, there's a clash here, here, and here. Can you advise on an alternative design which is still compliant? Obviously, I would do my best to do that. And if I can't do that, then I would come back and say, well, I can't actually do that. How about moving this service instead? So it's all a big sort of discussion to get it right. Okay, so here's my sprinkler head here. So I'm just going to copy and paste around. So the first thing to do here, I'm going to place some sprinkler heads in my corridor. So if we have a look, first of all, at the distance from the top end to the bottom there, we can see it is 2.4 meters, just over. So it's quite tempting, I suppose, to put a sprinkler head, roughly here into this space to protect the area around the doorway. But actually, we don't need to do that because the area that the sprinkler head protects is quite large. So what I would prefer to do here, if we can grab the midpoint of that wall and bring it over, is we can actually put a sprinkler head more towards here instead, because then we can protect all of this area around the front door under this head here, because it's got at least 2.4 meters, kind of all the way around in terms of protection. 2.25 to maximum distance from the wall, of course. So let's now get a midpoint for the other sort of direction. I'm working in red here, so again, if you're used to AutoCAD, you'll know that you can have different layers. Each layer can be assigned a different colour. So I'm working in red for sprinklers, but again, colours will vary. So I'm going to put my sprinkler head here. So you can see I'm not worried too much about sort of doing any kind of calculations at the moment. I'm just getting it nice and central for its kind of aesthetic reasons, really. So that is going to protect around the front door. How far is it till the other end? It's 4.1 meters to the other end. So clearly I'm going to need another sprinkler head somewhere along this corridor. So it could be just 2.4 meters along. So if I draw a line here that's 2.4 meters, just delete that other one so you can see it. Now I'm going to copy and paste a new sprinkler head. So that's 2.4 meters. So that's the minimum distance that I can have my next sprinkler head. Distance to the wall is 1.69. So that is compliant. That would do. That would work. However, I think what I would do in this case is I would look at the distance of this head to this end wall, if you like. It kind of finishes in a little kind of service cupboard, so I'm going to take it from this edge here. So it is 609, call it 610 from the wall. So I would suggest that we do the same on this side to match. So let's move that head now over to there, if it will let me. Okay, so now I've got a design where the head is equal from both sides of the corridor. They're plenty far apart enough, but they're not too far apart. I mean, let's actually have a look at how far apart they are. 3.5 meters. So again, maximum 5.5. So we've got plenty of room, plenty of kind of limit there. I can protect up to the front door, no problem at all. Some of you might be wondering about this door here, which is opening, and you can see that the door will actually run over the top of the sprinkler head. I don't think this will be a problem. There's generally a gap between the top of the door and the ceiling, which that sprinkler head can occupy. If it's a concealed head, then all the better. That's certainly won't make any difference. But yeah, that is, I guess, on occasion you might have a very tall door for whatever reason, which may be a little bit tight with the sprinkler heads, in which case, obviously, on this instance, we can just move it out of the way of the door a little bit. So this here is some kind of storage cupboard. Do we need to protect this? Well, we should, because the limit, remember, for cupboards is 2 square meters. So, i.e. large cupboards should be protected. So let's have a look at what size this is. It is 1.13 by 1.71. Have a 0.71. Oh, sorry, 1.79. I said 79. 1.13. So yeah, it is just over 2 square meters. So we ought to sprinkler protect it. Again, doesn't seem to be any reason why we don't just stick a sprinkler head straight in the middle. So as a sprinkler designer, I like that. Saves again any kind of time. I can just stick a sprinkler head straight in the middle of that space there, and I can move on. Let's have a look at this bedroom now. So this bedroom is 3 meters wide, I guess, by 3.78 meters. So what's half of that? So 3.78 divided by 2, 1.89. So this means that we can just have one sprinkler head in this room. So again, I'll do the same trick. I'll just draw a diagonal line straight across the room, and then I will plonk my sprinkler head right in the middle. Let's say until someone tells me that they don't want me to do that. It might be that the person that's in charge of the lighting will say, well, actually, no, I want my lighting unit to go in the middle. In which case, then we can move it around. We may well then have to switch to 2 heads. If we can't have our head in the middle of the room, then we may well have to have 2 heads to kind of compensate for that move. But there you go. So that the head's placed in the middle, and we can just double check that. So it's 1.5, 1.8, 1.5, 1.8. So yeah, everything checks out. One head as a minimum, of course, in that bedroom. Let's have a look at this bathroom now. So do we need to protect the bathroom? Well, again, if it's smaller than 5 square meters, then we don't have to. So let's have a quick look. This is 1.98 again times 2.15. So that is 4.2 and a bit. So again, it is smaller than 5, so we don't have to sprinkler protect it. Again, there's certainly no harm in sprinkler protecting it. So you could add a note to the drawing. You could add a note saying, I haven't sprinkler protected this bathroom because it is smaller than 5 square meters. Or you could put a sprinkler head in it, and you can make a comment to say, actually, this head is not strictly required, and you kind of wait further instruction in terms of whether the main contractor or whoever's sort of in charge is going to want to keep that head or not. It's not going to add a much cost at all because we've already got the pipes in there. A head's a few pounds, so it's not going to be a big deal. Right, let's have a look at this sort of living space now, because we get into a bit of a larger area. We've got a little bit of space over by the doorway, and then we've got this kind of kitchen, dining, lounge area. So let's have a look at this distance first. So that's 6.2 meters. So 6.2 is going to mean, so if I do 6.2 divided by 4, we get 1.55. So it's definitely going to be 2 sprinkler heads down this kind of row here. What about the width? The width is 4. I'll get this right. Width is 4. It's 4.6. It's basically 4.6 exactly. So that is actually too much, because 4.5 is the maximum distance that I can have with one sprinkler head on that run. Okay, because 4.5 divided by 2 is my 2.25. So 2.25 is the maximum distance I can have to any wall. So I can do 2.25 on one side and 2.25 on the other, meaning I can have one head in the middle. But this room is annoyingly 4.6, so I can't do that. So this space here is going to have 4 sprinkler heads placed within it. Again, that's just the way it is. So of course I've got 4.6. Ordinarily, say following the previous method, I would do 4.6 divided by 2, and that would give me my spacing. But my spacing comes out then at 2.3. 2.3 is too close, okay? 'Cause I need at least 2.4 meters between my sprinkler heads. So what I would do in this instance here, I would do my 4.6, and I would minus 2.4, okay? And that would leave me with 2.2. 2.2 divided by 2 is 1.1. So my sprinkler heads are going to be 1.1 meters away from the wall. I'm going to draw myself a line here. There's one line that's 1.1 meters away from that wall. Then I would draw another line here. Again, 1. I would take that. Oh, why not? Okay, so there's where my sprinkler heads are going to go. The top distance here, what did we say that was? 6.2. So I can do 6.2 divided by 4 gives me 1.55. So sprinkler head here, 1.55. So this is just the way I would do it. Like I say, I'm not an expert really. It's probably better ways of kind of achieving the same result, but I've kind of created a bit of a grid there, and then I am going to place my sprinkler heads onto those kind of patches where the lines cross. Okay, then I can get rid of the lines, just leave the sprinkler heads. So there's my 4 sprinkler heads. Now that's good. Okay, that's a good start. However, there's a problem with this design. Maybe you've already kind of noticed what the problem is, and that is, remember, the area by the door. Okay, so let's have a look at that. So what is the distance from this head to the door? It is, well, it's about 2.4. So that's no good because I can only have 2.25. So it means that this area here by the door is not currently protected. So, problem. Again, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to put another sprinkler head over here. I suppose I could try and move this head upwards, but I don't think I'll be able to do it. I still think there will be an area which wouldn't be sprinkler protected. So what I think I'm going to do is move all of these heads down. I'm going to select all of those, move, tell them, go down. Let's try 0.5 meter. So let's just check that does. So distance is 2 meters, or just over 2 meters to the wall. So that's okay. That's still compliant. The spacing's still good. So now, if I obviously I would normally place this sort of central to the wall, but just to save time, let's just pop it somewhere there. Then we can check again. And what we got here. So yeah, it's just under 2.4. So I just need to move that up a little bit more. There we have it. It's over 2.4 meters. So for me, that is a sensible way of arranging the heads. So if you actually calculated the area divided by 5, I mean, we've got loads of heads in there for the size of the room. It's just the way the cookie crumbles, really, in terms of the size of the room, particular shape of the room, which just meant that it was unavoidable, I think, to have 5 heads within that space. So I'll kind of leave it there as kind of going through it. That's hopefully given you a good starting point, really, in terms of how we actually use that information in terms of the minimum, maximum distances in a kind of a practical situation here with our residential setup. I do a kind of a Blue Peter now. Here's one I did earlier. So over here in the communal lounge and dining area, so again, I looked at the width and the length. I worked out how many heads would need to go into that space, which was 6 in this kind of area here. Now, conveniently for me, that meant that the central heads sat fairly centrally then with this kind of central corridor. We actually then had a nice line of heads running down this central corridor till we get to the doors here. Then we have another kind of area here. So I just had to do a little bit of adjustment. I made this distance a little bit bigger so that I can then put 6 heads within this area here, again, which all kind of look nice, look kind of neat in neat rows and kind of even spacing. Again, that's kind of the aim of the game. And yes, we need to make the sprinkler heads compliant, but we also, it's got to look right. We've got to use straight lines where we can. In some instances, like this room here, for example, is kind of an odd-shaped room. We could have 3 heads, I guess, and 2 of the heads being at an angle. And I guess you've got to ask yourself whether the advantage in saving a sprinkler head is that worth the kind of compromised aesthetic of having sprinkler heads at kind of at weird angles within the room. I would say it isn't. Stick an extra head in, keep them in nice neat rows. Okay, before we finish, let's just have a look at two other examples that I've got. So this one here, I just wanted to show you. Again, I talked about the different layers. So this has got kind of all the layers turned on, so you can see kind of what a mess it makes, with all these different services and different notes, dimensions. All of this is obviously all good stuff. But that's why we have layers, to be able to turn things on and off. But you can see there's some other services here. We've got our HVAC, we've got lights, we've obviously got structural bits. So we've got beams, we've got walls, we've got different types of ceiling, we've got changes in ceiling height, which again all need to be kind of factored into the design. So yeah, that was just an example. I've been looking at quite simple designs, but it can get very, very complicated. Also, this drawing here, I'll just show you while we're here. This symbol here is showing where the pipe is going to be supported, so that the drawings go even to that level of detail. Final example here is, again, this makes it quite easy to understand in terms of a reflected ceiling plan. So this has got the ceiling tiles drawn on. So it's like we're looking up at the ceiling tiles, but we're also showing the services above the ceiling tile. So that's kind of the point, really. We want to be able to see the ceiling tiles and all the other services. So sprinkler heads, generally we want to place them central to a tile. You see that this is a slightly different symbol's been used here for a sprinkler head. So the tiles are generally 600 by 600. That's just 600 by 600. So we'll be looking to place them centrally. So again, that kind of helps and it kind of hinders us as well in terms of placing the heads. We know we've got to place them central tile, which obviously limits us, but in a way that kind of helps as well, because just makes it so that we don't have to kind of think too hard. It either goes into this row of tiles or it goes into the next row of tiles. But yeah, again, we've got other services here we need to avoid clashes with that. Okay. Let's go. Yeah. And yeah, that is it. So I hope you found that useful. I hope you didn't find that too frustrating. I don't know if there are any sprinkler designers listening in, kind of rolling their eyes at what I was doing there. But again, just helps to get an appreciation of the kind of thought process which go in to laying out of the sprinkler heads, and the kind of the coordination between different services. Next week, we're going to be looking at signalling and monitoring of sprinkler systems. I think that's going to be in 2 parts. I haven't actually made the presentation yet, but I reckon it will be in 2 parts. So yeah, we're looking at what has to be monitored, the different types of signals, so the A signals and B signals, and kind of where they're likely to go. Again, I think each system will be slightly different, but we'll just give you an indication of where they are likely to be heading off to be monitored. As always, if you've got any comments, questions, feedback, then do let us know. The email address there is on the screen, sprinklertalk@projectfire.co.uk. And as normal, I'll just wait and see if there's any questions kind of popping in into the chat. I'll be happy to answer those. But yeah, other than that, thanks a lot for listening, and I'll see you again next week. Ciao, then. Bye-bye.